Some of the movies on this list really, really sucked. Hey guys, what's up? My name is Dom. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, I typically make bookish content, movie content. I'm forgetting the rest of my intro, but stalk my channel if you want to see more on this channel. So in today's video, we are going to be discussing the worst movies I watched in 2020. I have already made videos about all the books I read, the best books I read, the worst books I read, and the best movies I watched. So why not continue with the worst movies I watch? I picked 10. Usually I've never done this on my channel before. I just watch movies for fun. But in 2020, I had this idea to keep count how many movies I watched because I was interested. Like, I could tell you on average how many books I read a year, but I don't know how many movies I watched. So 2020, I guess, was the year to start, and because I started movie reactions on this channel, I thought it'd be a good idea to name my best and worst movies. Some of these I can rant about, some of them were just so bad I have nothing to say, and if you see me looking down, it's because my list is there. Also, Letterboxd on my phone if I'm looking at that. So without further ado, let's get started. So I'm going to be going down from 10 to 1, and coming in at number 10, we have Disney's live-action remake of Mulan. This was the last movie I watched in 2020. I literally watched this on December 31st, and what a way to end the fucking year. I'm sure most of us know what Mulan is about. The live action was supposed to be more considerate of the original ballad. Like, I know the Huns changed. The original animation used Huns, those were the main villains, but this live action, I forgot what the group of people were called, but it was changed to what you see in the ballad. There's no music in this. And another thing, yeah, they took out the Lucky Cricket, they took out Mushu, because they wanted to be more realistic to real life. And you know what? I'll respect that. Until I watch the fucking movie. Let's list some things I liked about this movie. But the costumes, I liked the costumes. I thought a lot of them were beautiful. The scenery in this, when they pan out and do like the aerial shots, some of those were gorgeous, but some were not, and I will get to that. I did appreciate the score, and I did appreciate the end credits, how they did that, and then that's about it. So let's go into the things I did not like about this movie. Like I said, one of the intentions of making this movie was to make it more realistic to real life. So, you know, therefore no Mushu, no Lucky Cricket. They just turned him into an actual human named Cricket. But Mulan has chi, and chi means she was, you know, perfect and good at this from the start. And I absolutely hated that, because one of the things that made the original Mulan so great was that she was just your average girl. She wasn't good at anything. She had to work for it, which made the song "I'm Gonna Make a Man Out of You" so iconic. And it's not satisfying seeing Mulan be absolutely stupendous from the start and not having to work towards it. Instead, she's trying to hide that she's amazing. I don't really like that at all. And just because she was already so good at everything, it made the movie so boring to watch. And going back to that part where they're like, we're gonna make this more realistic to real life. You know the hawk, what is everyone's names? But the Hun's hawk in the original animation, so they turned it into a character, but it's not it's not a real hawk, it is a magic hawk witch. So I was confused, because I was like, if this is supposed to be more realistic, why is there a witch lady? And she was absolutely useless in this movie. They could have made this whole movie without her. A lot of the acting in this movie seemed a bit stunted, specifically the witch ladies, but also at the same time I feel bad for that actress, because I think she was only doing so much. She could only do so much with like a terrible script, because the dialogue in the script was a little iffy at times. I thought Mulan's acting was really iffy. She, like, this woman, and I know there's controversy surrounding her, but this woman is supposed to be a very famous actress in China, like, well decorated and everything. I kind of thought her acting was not good. Like, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't good either. There was little to no emotion on her face throughout the movie, and I don't know if that's her or if it was the script. I'm sure part of it was the script, part of it was the direction. Okay, so I actually looked into that actress, and turns out I was wrong. She is not well decorated. In China, she is known for being a bad actress, and there were thousands of women in line to play this role, and yet Disney still chose her. And I feel like just knowing that almost makes this even worse. Also, and because I'm bringing up Mulan again, I want to bring up something with the chi that I forgot to bring up, but the chi. good at everything from the beginning. Mulan doesn't have to work for anything, right? Right. So because Mulan doesn't really have to work for anything, to me, her character development was really, really lacking. She just went from a girl who's good at everything to a girl who's powerful at the end with that phoenix, you know? And there's this thing I have a problem with, like, these woman power movies, which is what this is. It's a big feminist woman power movie. There's woman can do anything, right? But then there's woman can do everything. And the thing I have with a lot of these movies is that they rely so much on woman can do everything to the point it makes it unrealistic, because let's be serious, we can't do everything, and that's okay. Sometimes we need help. I hope you guys can see what I'm talking about, that there is a difference between woman can do anything and woman can do everything. I would classify the original animation as woman can do anything, meaning Mulan, she was able to become a great soldier and save all of China. She just had to work for it and prove that she could do it. Whereas this one, it relies heavily on the fact we can do everything. And there's nothing. There's no discernible personality, and I don't like it. I liked watching Mulan struggle a bit and work her way towards her success because it was satisfying to watch. And it tells little girls that they can't really do anything they set their minds to. They just have to work for it. So like I said, the scenery was beautiful until certain moments though. And it was obviously all green screen, and it really, really showed when it was a close-up of someone's face. Because if you see like the outline compared to the background, it's super, super awkward, and it doesn't match well. And I can't believe this is supposed to be a theatrical release and they let that go. If anything, this is a cheap-ass movie. Scenes were very often underwhelming. Like there was one scene that was clearly supposed to replicate the girl worth fighting for transition to the, you know, the ruined village scene. Underwhelming. I felt nothing, which is sad because, you know, a whole village just got killed off. The matchmaker scene, underwhelming. The action scenes were underwhelming. Very disjointed, very cheesy too, but very, very disjointed because of the amount of cuts. It was how Mulan moved, because again, this is supposed to be, they advertise this as a more realistic version of Mulan, and yet she was moving in ways inhumanly possible because of this fucking chi. Like she would just jump. She wouldn't even try to jump. She would just do it lightly and she'd be like 100 feet in the air. They were awkward to watch, and it reminded me of like cheap action movies, not like these big mega professional ones. So when I say cheap action movies, I don't mean that in a good way. I was so confused what tone they were going for. At moments this movie it seemed like the tone was supposed to be very serious, a serious war movie. And then there were other times in the movie where it was very Disney-fied. And one is at some point of the matchmaker scene where it reminded me that it's a Disney movie. And the tone was just all over the place, and I guess that's the best way to say that. Just going back to some pros, one scene I really did enjoy was purely for the music. And it's the scene where Mulan finally realizes she's herself. And it was very cheesy. Like, she's riding this horse, she's pulling her hair out of its top knot, she's letting it fly behind her, moving in slow motion. But it's the music in that scene, like, yeah, no one's singing in this movie, but the orchestra sometimes was absolutely on point, especially during that scene, like hearing Reflection, but orchestral. Absolutely top-notch magic. I did get chills in that scene, I will admit, because... And that's the reason I wanted to see the movie, because in the trailer they had that orchestral version of Reflection, and I was like, this is going to be great, and then it wasn't. It's something I can't believe. So like I said, I did not see this until December 31st, because there was no way I was going to spend $30 fucking to see this on Disney Plus, which is a streaming service I'm already paying $80 a year for. Disney was out of their goddamn minds for that. I know it was a cash grab, a money grab, because, you know, all this money they're apparently losing because of the pandemic. The argument is you pay $30 for this and then your whole household watches it, right? Because it would be cheaper than going to the movies. There's 3 people in my household. My local movie theater is about $11 a ticket. 30 divided by 3 is 10, so it's only $1 cheaper. We're spending, with the 3 of us combined, we're spending $3 less than we would have. But I remember when this came out, I thought they were crazy, and I told my mom really wanted to watch it. I'm like, we're not paying $30 to watch it on a streaming service that we're already paying for. Disney's out of their minds. Even if this was a great movie without the problematic behind the scenes that this movie had, I would not be paying $30 for it. So yeah, I fucking waited until December, and I'm glad I did not waste $30 because this was not good. And it upsets me because Mulan is my favorite Disney princess. Number 9, whew, that was a long rant. So number 9 is 2019's remake of The Addams Family. In this movie, they are living in New Jersey, and Wednesday's on a road to self-discovery, basically. And the people from the suburbs want to kick out the Addams Family. As you do. I love the Addams Family. I have since I was a kid. I was Morticia Addams twice for Halloween. Once in 4th grade, once in 5th grade. I've been obsessed with Wednesday since I was a child. For some reason I thought like I was the next Wednesday Addams. Take as you will. So I went into this movie with high hopes. And although the animation was kind of cool to look at, and Chloe Grace Moretz is Wednesday, and actually has like an all-star cast. Chloe Grace Moretz is Wednesday, Finn Wolfhard from Stranger Things is Pugsley, Oscar Isaac is Gomez, and then I think it's Charlize Theron who's Morticia, and it was boring. And that's really all I gotta say about it. Like, there's nothing else to say other than that it was boring. And there's just so much you could do with the Addams Family that I'm getting tired of the plot where they're this weird misunderstood family and Wednesday wants to like become friends with someone else. I don't know. Because that's the plot of the musical too. And some of the cartoons used to do it. And it's getting old. Do something else with the Addams Family. Like, I know that's the humor behind the Addams Family, that they're odd and people judge them, but I was expecting something more exciting. The one thing I did appreciate about this movie is that if you watch the end credits, it's frame by frame the original live action opening credits, like the 1960s version. And I'll try to insert like a side by, I don't know if I can, but I'll try to insert a side by side so you see what I'm talking about.
They're creepy and they're kooky, mysterious and spooky. They're all together ooky, the Addams Family. Their house is a museum.
But I feel like at this point, because the original live action TV show came out so long ago, that has to be like obscure. So I don't know how many people caught on to that. But when I did, I'm like, okay, I'm glad I'm watching the end despite finding this movie incredibly boring. I think my other problem with this movie too is that Addams Family is usually aimed as a family thing. But in this case, this movie was very much for children. And maybe I just wasn't the target audience and that's why I didn't like it. But bring back like the family sense of the Addams Family. Don't just make it for children. So coming in at number 8, we have Country Bears, and this movie was kind of a trip. If you don't know what Country Bears is, there's an attraction in Magic Kingdom at Disney World, and probably Disneyland, called the Country Bear Jamboree. And you're sitting through it, and it's just animatronic bears singing songs to you. And that's what this movie is based on. When the stage initially opens, there's a band of 4 different bears. And that's what this movie focuses on. They were a band, but they broke up, and now this new tiny bear, he's trying to get them together because he wants to be a country bear. They're his idols. But it's not cartoon or anything. It is live action. And at first, I've never even heard of this. I had no idea they made a movie like this. But when I worked at Disney World, I had a day off, so me and a roommate went to Magic Kingdom. And I had never been to Country Bear Jamboree at that point, so I made her sit through it with me. I hated it. I don't like the Country Bear Jamboree. But she told me there was a movie, and she's like, "Oh, it's much better than this." What the fuck was this? It was jarring almost, because it's live action, but the bears have this. It's like it's so uncanny looking at them, and it freaks me out in a way because they're clearly wearing like mascot costumes, but terribly put together mascot costumes, and I don't like it. And it was boring. Common theme here is that movies are boring. It was boring, and I fell asleep at one point, and I was like, no, maybe I'm judging this too harshly. And then I went on Letterboxd to log it in, and it has a 1.9 rating out of 5 stars. So that should tell you what you need to know. I can't believe though, the main bear, the main like kid bear, is played by Haley Joel Osment, who's a little kid in The Sixth Sense.
I see dead people.
So if you didn't know that, then there's a fun fact for you. So number 7, we have 2019's The Grinch. I don't know how many fucking times this thing needs to be remade, but we're at the third movie now. Granted, the first 2, absolutely great. This, no, because it's on the worst movies worst movies list. Running theme, like I said, a lot of movies on this, boring. This was boring. And I know part of us was supposed to feel sympathy for the Grinch because, you know, they showed those scenes where he's in the orphanage as a kid. But I just didn't. And I didn't like Cindy Lou Who. I kind of miss when she was that innocent child that you see in the original book, that you see in the original cartoon, that you see in Jim Carrey's. Granted, yeah, in Jim Carrey she's older and I don't mind that. But she was still innocent. Innocent's not the word I'm looking for. She was still like a quiet kid. I liked that. I don't like the new Cindy Lou Who where she's super rambunctious. I mean, good for you for being independent and all that, but do you guys y'all know what I'm trying to say? Like, I'm not trying to put down like independent young girls, but I think part of what made Cindy Lou Who is, yeah, she's inquisitive, but she wasn't rambunctious that you see in this new Grinch. I did kind of like the twist in the tale that, you know, her dad wasn't there. She is living with a single mom. I did like her mom, but at the end of the day, this movie was kind of boring, and probably part of it is probably because I'm just sick of remakes. So number 6, we have 365 Days. Yes, I watched this movie. This movie was on fire back in the summer, so I just had to see what everyone was talking about, you know? And this is a story of an Italian mafia dude whose name is Massimo, because of course it is. It's always Massimo. And he kidnaps this Polish woman and basically tells her, I'm holding you hostage. You have 365 days to fall in love with me. I know. This is essentially a fan fiction of 50 Shades of Grey, which is a fan fiction of Twilight, so take that as you will. Thank you, Stephanie Meyer, author of Twilight, for somehow bringing us this trash. And because I said it's a fan fiction of 50 Shades of Grey, you guessed it, there's a lot of porn in this. Yeah, it's supposed to be just sex scenes, not literal porn, but there are times where I could not tell if the actors were just acting or if they were actually having sex, especially during that yacht scene. I got a lot of views I didn't care to see. Massimo's cute, but like, if I wanted to watch porn, I'd look up porn, not this. So yeah, it gets 0.5 out of 5 stars for that plot alone. I am so sick of that. Like, that is terrible. That is abuse in and of itself. Like, kidnapping a woman and forcing her to fall in love with you. I mean, granted, he said, like, if you don't fall in love with me for the year, like, I will let you go. But, like, would you? Would you have? But I gave it another half star, so now we're at 1 star because of the music. The music in this movie, unfortunately, slapped. So, this movie is so bad, it does not deserve to have great music, but here we are. Then the other half, so it's at 1.5 stars out of 5. Because I did not hate myself in this movie. The dialogue, everything about this movie is just so bad I couldn't help but laugh. Like, every time he said, "Are you lost, baby girl?" I either laughed or audibly vomited, made a vomit sound.
Are you lost, baby girl?
There's one scene where she's taking a shower and he waltzes in naked, as you do, and you could see her eyes going down and she's looking at his penis, and he says, in an honest-to-God movie, in an honest-to-God way that is supposed to be sexy, he says, do you want to touch it? If a guy asked me that, I'd put my clothes back on and walk out. Granted, I'm not being held hostage like she is, but come on, like, how is that supposed to be sexy? I laughed so hard at that point. What else? What else was, like, not funny, but I laughed at it anyway because it was bad? Oh, the scene where he has her chained to a bed, okay, and he's all pissed off because she won't do anything. And then, you know, in that fierce, sexy way, he's like, let me show you what you're missing. So I'm expecting this scene to be intense. All he does is sit on the couch, legs wide, as he gets a blowjob. You're telling me she's missing out on the fact that she would have to do all the work? What is so exciting about the fact that you're just going to sit on your ass while she has to do all the work? If anything, it would turn me off even more. And as these movies do, it moves too fast. Of course she has Stockholm Syndrome, falls in love with him. She's like, I don't need 365 days. Of course, has a fucking cliffhanger for an ending. So there's gonna be more of these God-forsaken movies. And it was just bad. And like, acting-wise, I can't even comment because these actors surely have to know that script was terrible. And with a horrible script, you can only do so much as an actor, so I felt bad for them. But come on, this was such a laughable movie, and you're telling me Granted, these were rare reviews when I went on Letterboxd, because this, I'm definitely sure this has less than 2-star rating on Letterboxd. Some people were turned on by this movie, and I was like, why? Why? He kidnapped someone. Why would I want to fall in love with my kidnapper? This is clearly Stockholm Syndrome, which is a mental illness, but it's like not supposed to be Stockholm Syndrome, if you catch my drift. And I'm tired. I'm tired. Listen, I'm already Twilight trash. I don't need to be trash for anything else that's Stockholm Syndrome-y. I'm done. Let's move on. This is an honest to God movie. But I didn't hate myself. I thought it was hilarious. In the fact it was so bad, it was funny. Which, yes, is an insult to your movie. So these next 5 movies, we're kind of getting to the movies where I did hate myself while watching these. So that's why I managed to have movies that are even lesser on the list than 365 Days. Number 5, we have Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. This was advertised for lovers of the book. They said if you love the book, you will love this adaptation. The problem is, this movie has a single plot. The book does not. The book is a collection of short stories. If you're going to make an adaptation for that, it has to be a TV show in order to work well. Instead, I can understand what the guy was trying to do. He was trying to bring in different stories. These kids go into like a haunted house. They find this book written in blood. This ghost writes stories, and how she writes them, they all come true type of thing. In each story, he brought in stories from the original book. It just didn't work well. The pacing was really choppy. I was bored at times. It wasn't scary. This was also advertised to be scary, and it was not. The kids made really stupid decisions. The acting was bad. This took me like 3 tries to watch, because I did try watching it on Halloween. Then I was falling asleep. So I tried watching it the day after, fell asleep. So I had to watch the last 30 minutes, like November 2nd, and I was like, I wasted my time with this. So number 4, we have another Disney movie. How many Disney movies do I have on this list? I have a total of 4 Disney movies on this list. So we're at the 3rd one. Number 4 is Babes in Toyland, the 1961 version with Annette Funicello. This is Fairy Tale Land. Like, she's supposed to be Mary Contrary, and she's marrying someone. It was advertised as a Christmas movie, and I didn't really get the Christmas vibes until like the last half of the movie. But y'all, what in the acid trip was this? I had no idea what was going on half the time. There's talking trees, and I felt like I was tripping on LSD. It was just a puke of color, and not in a good way. Like, none of these colors meshed well at all, and it was horrible to look at. Like these other fucking movies, it was boring. So, I did some like Christmas movie reactions this past December, right? This was one of the movies I was considering to put in the lineup. Changed my mind at the last minute and scrapped it. So I decided to put it on for the kids I babysit. All of us. Like, even the 5 and 3-year-old couldn't even get into it because we didn't like it. We were bored. So after a while, I just had it on for background noise while I scrolled on my phone for a good hour. There was like 2 separate plots going on. Like, the first half and the last half are 2 different storylines. I wasn't feeling it. And it's a Disney live action, so therefore, like, the acting is going to be very overdone in a way that's not good. The only relatable part of this movie was when Annette Funicello was singing a song about how she's unable to do math and finances.
This is much too hard for us. We can't do the sum.
Girl, I feel that. And, you know, the special effects in that scene were actually pretty good for its time, and it was kind of cool to look at. The song is catchy. It's catchy enough for me to remember the melody after only one listen to. But other than that, what was this? Also, fun fact, I did discover one of the characters, I think he's the villain, was played by the Scarecrow from The Wizard of Oz. And a lot of people in Letterboxd were complaining that his dance moves were wasted on this. He was annoying though, like his character was annoying. The villain in this pissed me off a lot. I don't know, I've never done drugs in my life, but I swear to God, if I were to do drugs, this movie is what it would feel like. Like, watching this movie is the same experience as like taking a trip on LSD. Because what was happening? So number 3, we have the last Disney movie I am going to talk about. And there's a theme here. Maybe Disney just needs to stop making live actions, because this is the movie Godmother that came around Christmas time. It is Christmas theme, and it's about this girl, or not even girl, it's about this woman who's in school to be a godmother, but godmothers are a dying breed because no one wants them anymore. So she does her magical fairy powers, goes into the real world after finding a letter from a girl asking for help, goes to the real world, finds out this little girl is Isla Fisher as an adult, and she's trying to make Isla Fisher find her happily ever after. See, this movie wasn't boring. It was just cringy beyond belief. I cringed my way through this whole movie. The only character I could bother liking is Isla Fish's character. Half the time I felt bad for her, and half the time I wanted her to smack the fairy, whose name I don't even remember. Like, going through Letterboxd, people actually liked the fairy. They thought she was cute and bubbly. I thought she was annoying. Her naivety, obviously understandable because she's never been to the, you know, the real world before, but I thought her naivety was annoying. I thought her bubbliness was annoying. That high-pitched voice she talked in, that's what I wanted to do every time she opened her mouth. She's like one of the most annoying characters I've ever come across in fiction. And like, just scene after scene of this movie was so cringy. This movie was one big cringe fest, and I can't believe I sat through it. The only other sane character was Isla Fisher's sister, who's played by the waitress from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And it's like, why are you here? She was kind of useless. I think her character was really only there to give Isla Fisher like someone to talk to. But in the end, she was useless. They could have done the whole movie without her. This one also had weird plots going. At first, it was all about the fairy. I think her name is Eleanor. But at some point, all the plot points were about Eleanor. And after a while, it turned to one of Isla Fisher's daughters. And then it turned back to Eleanor. I don't know. It was weird. This movie needed better writers, quite frankly. I appreciate the ending because it wasn't a cliched like I was expecting. But like, why did Disney think this is a good idea? At first I thought it was their live action remakes that were just terrible, but maybe it's also their original live actions. Like, this is an original movie. It's not based on anything from that I know of. Why did I watch this? I'm surprised I didn't stop watching it, honestly. I should have just turned it off. So number 2, we have a movie I watched like a while ago, so I don't really remember a lot of it, but it's Every Day, and it's about this girl who fell in love with a soul, basically. I don't really know if it's a soul, but it would jump from body to body. I have 2 main gripes. 1, boring. You've seen that coming. 2, the editing for this movie was really choppy from what I remember. None of the cuts flowed well at all, and it was very hard to follow, and it was very hard to enjoy because of how jarring that was. And because I watched this back in like February, that's all I remember. So I'm just gonna stop talking there before I like pull something out of my ass by accident. So number 1, I don't really have too much to say about this movie because like I was forced to watch this movie. I was planning on going my whole life without seeing this. But the 5-year-old boy I babysit is absolutely obsessed with Minions, and whenever we need something for background noise, let's watch Minions and make it the worst movie I've seen this year. And not only is it the worst movie I've seen this year, but I watched it 3 times. Because you know how little kids love to watch things over and over again? Yeah. I thought these things were cute when the first Despicable movie came out. But how long ago was that? I'm 23 now. I think I was still in like 5th grade, middle school when that movie came out. Then Despicable Me 2 came out. And the older I get, the more annoying these things get. And when they made a movie just for them, no way was I seeing it. But here we are. When you babysit kids, you see things you never want to see in your life. And it's the whole movie of them having this annoying talk. I don't know. Like, it's the Minions. I shouldn't have to say why this is the worst movie I watched this year. I will say part of the soundtrack was kind of slapped. There's 2 songs in this that I like, and they are as follows.
Imagine me and you, I do. I think about you day and night.
Great song choices. But other than that, I had to watch this 3 times. And that is it for this video. I'm gonna make this quick because my foot fell asleep and it is killing me and it hurts. Let me know what your least favorite movie of the year is. I'm always so intrigued by these because I feel like movies evoke such strong emotions. So let me know what your least favorite movie of the year was. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, comment. Y'all know the drill. And without further ado, because I'm talking so fast and my throat hurts, so without further ado, I'm going to peace out and I will see you guys later. Ciao a tutti.